First Chronicles chapter 1 and 2. Chapter 1. Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javin, Tubal, Meshach, and Tiras. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Redanim. The sons of Ham, Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sapta, Ramah, and Septagah. The sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. Cush fathered Nimrod. He was the first on earth to be a mighty man. Egypt fathered Ludim, Anamim, Lahabim, Nephtahim, Pathrusim, Hashlem, from whom the Philistines came, and Caphtorim. Canaan fathered Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusites, the Amorites, and the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites. The sons of Shem, Elam, Asher, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram, and the sons of Aram, Uz, Hul, Gether, and Meshach. Arpachshad fathered Shelah, and Shelah fathered Eber. To Eber were born two sons. The name of the one was Peleg, for in his days the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Joktan fathered Almaldad, Shelah, Hazarmaveth, Jirah, Hadoram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. Shem, Arpachshad, Shelah, Eber, Peleg, Reu, Serach, Nahor, Terah, Abram, that is Abraham. The sons of Abraham, Isaac and Ishmael. These are the genealogies, the firstborn of Ishmael: Nebaioth and Kedar, Abiel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jeter, Naphish, and Kedemah. These are the sons of Ishmael. The sons of Keturah, Abraham's concubine. She bore Zimran, Jokshan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. The sons of Jokshan, Sheba, and Dedan. The sons of Midian, Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Eldaah. All these were the descendants of Keturah. Abraham fathered Isaac. The sons of Isaac, Esau and Israel. The sons of Esau, Eliphaz, Ruel, Jeush, Jaalam, and Korah. The sons of Eliphaz, Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gadam, Kenas, and of Timnah, Emelech. The sons of Ruel, Nahath, Zerah, Shema, and Mizah. The sons of Seir, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. The sons of Lotan, Hori, and Hemam, and Lotan's sister was Timnah. The sons of Shobal, Alvan, Menahath, Ebal, Shephol, and Onam. The sons of Zibeon, Aya and Anah. The sons of Anah, Dishon. The sons of Dishon, Himdan, Ishban, Ithran, and Chiran. The sons of Ezer, Bilhan, Zaavan, and Achan. The sons of Dishan, Uz, and Aaron. These are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over the people of Israel. Bela, the sons of Beor, the name of the city being Denebah. Bela died, and Jobab the son of Zerah of Bahazrah reigned in his place. Jobab died, and Husham of the land of the Timonites reigned in his place. Husham died, and Hadad the son of Bedad, who defeated Midian in the country of Moab, reigned in his place, the name of his city being Avith. Hadad died, and Samlah of Mashrikah reigned in his place. Samlah died, and Shaul of Rehoboth on the Euphrates reigned in his place. Shaul died, and Baal-Hanan the son of Akbor reigned in his place. Baal-Hanan died, and Hadad reigned in his place, the name of his city being Pai, and his wife's name was Mehethabel, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mizahab, and Hadad died. The chiefs of Edom were chiefs Timnah, Alva, Jetha, Aholabama, Elah, Pinon, Kenas, Timan, Mibzar, Magdiel, and Iram. These are the chiefs of Edom. Chapter 2. These are the sons of Israel: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Dan, Joseph, Benjamin, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. The sons of Judah: Onan, and Shelah. These three Bathshua the Canaanite bore to him. Now Judah's firstborn, was evil in the sight of the Lord, and they put him to death. His daughter-in-law Tamar also bore him Perez and Zerah. Judah had 5 sons in all. The sons of Perez: Hezron and Hamul. The sons of Zerah: Zimri, Ethan, Heman, Calcol, and Dara, 5 in all. The sons of Carmi: Achan, the trouble of Israel, who broke faith in the matter of the devoted thing. And Ethan's son was Azariah. The sons of Hezron that were born to him: Jeremiel, Ram, and Kelubai. Ram fathered Aminadab, and Aminadab fathered Nahshon, prince of the sons of Judah. Nahshon fathered Salmon. Salmon fathered Boaz. Boaz fathered Obed. Obed fathered Jesse. Jesse fathered Eliab his firstborn, Abinadab the second, Shemaiah the third, Nathanael the fourth, Radai the fifth, Ozem the sixth, David the seventh. And their sisters were Zeruiah and Abigail. The sons of Zeruiah: Abishai, Joab, and Asahel, 3. Abigail bore Amasa, and the father of Amasa was Jether, the Ishmaelite. Caleb the son of Hezron fathered children by his wife Azubah, and by Jeriath, and these were her sons: Jesher, Shobab, and Arden. When Azubah died, Caleb married Ephrath, who bore him Hur. Hur fathered Uri, and Uri fathered Bezalel. Afterwards Hezron went into the daughter of Machir, the father of Gilead, whom he married when he was 60 years old, and she bore him Segub. And Segub fathered Jair, who had 23 cities in the land of Gilead. But Geshur and Aram took from them Havoth Jair, Kenath, and its villages, 60 towns. All these were descendants of Machir, the father of Gilead. After the death of Hezron, Caleb went into Ephrathah, the wife of Hezron his father, and she bore him Asher, the father of Tekoa. The sons of Jeremiel, the firstborn of Hezron: Ram, his firstborn, Bunah, Oren, Ozem, and Ahijah. Jeremiel also had another wife, whose name was Aterah. She was the mother of Onan. The sons of Ram, the firstborn of Jeremiel: Maaz, Jamin, and Eker. The sons of Onan: Shemai and Jada. The sons of Shemai: Nadab and Abishur. The name of Abishur's wife was Abihail, and she bore him Aban and Molid. The sons of Nadab: Selad and Apiam, and Selad died childless. The son of Apiam: Ishai. The son of Ishai: Shishan. The son of Shishan: Ali. The sons of Jada: Shemai's brother, Jether, and Jonathan, and Jether died childless. The sons of Jonathan: Helath and Zazah. These were the descendants of Jeremiel. Now Shishan had no sons, only daughters, but Shishan had an Egyptian slave whose name was Jarha. So Shishan gave his daughter in marriage to Jarha, his slave, and she bore him Attai. Attai fathered Nathan, and Nathan fathered Zabad. Zabad fathered Ephlai, and Ephlai fathered Obed. Obed fathered Jehu, and Jehu fathered Azariah. Azariah fathered Helas, and Helas fathered Eleasa. Eleasa fathered Sismai, and Sismai fathered Shalom. Shalom fathered Jechemiah, and Jechemiah fathered Elishama. The sons of Caleb, the brother of Jeremiel: Marisha, his firstborn, who fathered Ziph. The son of Marisha: Hebron. The sons of Hebron: Korah, Tapua, Recham, and Shema. Shema fathered Raham, the father of Joachim, and Recham fathered Shemai. The son of Shemai: Maon, and Maon fathered Beth-zur. Ephah also, Caleb's concubine, bore Haran, Moza, and Gazez, and Haran fathered Gazez. The sons of Jahdai: Recham, Jotham, Gishon, Helet, Ephah, and Sheah. Maacah, Caleb's concubine, bore Sheber and Terhana. She also bore Sheath, the father of Machmanah, Sheva, the father of Magbina, and the father of Gibeah, and the daughter of Caleb was Aksah. These were the descendants of Caleb. The sons of Hur, the firstborn of Ephrathah: Shobal, the father of Kiriath Jearim, Salma, the father of Bethlehem, And Hareth the father of Bethgader, Shubal the father of Kiriath-jearim, had other sons, Horoah, half of the Menuhoth, and the clans of Kiriath-jearim, the Ithrites, the Puthites, the Shumathites, and the Mishrites. From these came the Zorathites and the Eshtaolites. The sons of Selma, Bethlehem, the Netophathites, Atroth, Beth-joab, and half of the Manahathites, the Zorites. The clans also of the scribes who lived at Jabaz, the Tirathites, the Shemaathites, and the Sukkothites. These are the Kenites who came from Hamath, the father of the house of Rechab.
Let's read the Bible every day and you'll be full of faith. The following is the English translation of Pastor Moon's teaching by David. First Chronicles is a book that many Christians easily skip overlook. Why? Because it seems to repeat many of the events recorded in the 1st and 2nd Samuel and the 1st and 2nd Kings. You might wonder why these events are recorded again. As a result, Chronicles often ended up being a book people skip, especially because it contains many genealogies. Chapters 1 to 9 are full of genealogies, and chapter 23 to 27 also lists numerous genealogies. So seeing all these genealogies can be overwhelming at times and make you want to skip them. But what is God's purpose in Chronicles? There are a few key points here. Through Chronicles, that you should see that events recorded are slightly different from those in Samuel and Kings. While Samuel and Kings might be historical records, Chronicles provides a spiritual perspective on these events. What isn't explained in Kings is illuminated in Chronicles with a spiritual understanding, helping us see God's ways. Chronicles are written for those who return from Babylon to Jerusalem, a city that was in ruins and in the process of being rebuilt. It was meant to show them that God's promises and intentions. It explains why they had once fallen into ruins and what kinds of grace God had for them and now that they were rebuilding. So when reading Chronicles, remember that it speaks to those who are feeling defeated, discouraged, and weak, but are willing to pay the price and rise up in their faith. It is meant for those who might have been disappointed, doubting, or feeling that their prayers were unheard, and those who might considering giving up or becoming just a regular believer. Chronicles is for us to find strength and to rise again from failure, pain, weaknesses, and falling. So let's look at 1 Chronicles chapters 1 and 2. In chapter 1 begins with the genealogies of the generations starting from Adam and extending to the descendants of Abraham. As you read through these genealogies, there are a few key things to understand. First, that you should see that there are many tribes and nations emerging from the lineage of Adam. Among these tribes and nations, why did God specifically choose Israel? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and their descendants? God wanted to make sure that those who return from Babylon to Jerusalem, the Israelites that who have been exiled, understand one thing. Chapter 1 tells them that despite the many tribes and nations descended from Adam, Israel was chosen by God. The selection is not based on anything extraordinary about the people of Israel. It's solely because of God's choice. So, dear family, we can't be ordinary people like Christians in children of God. Why? Despite our ordinariness, prayer, baptism, attending church, are we able to rule and reign with God in the future? The answer is God's choice, not our specialties. It is because we are chosen by God. For Israel, returning to Jerusalem and rebuilding after being conquered by a powerful nation like Babylon, it's important to remember that their distinctions is God's choice, that they shouldn't be discouraged or disheartened, even though they might feel like a small, insignificant group. But they can achieve great things because God has chosen and blessed them. That we too should remember that despite being ordinary, that we are blessed and chosen by God. So, dear family, when reading genealogies, that you might feel that these names have no relevance to us, that you might only read them once or twice or in your lifetime. You might not want to read them again. Once we skip over genealogies because the names seem insignificant. However, these names hold great significance for God because each of them is chosen by Him. In the historical records, from chapters 1 to 9, the genealogies and the recording of names involve many things that we might consider important or unimportant. God decides which names to include in Israel, recorded them, and everything related to God's choice. Dear family, if you're not an unknown or insignificant person, that you're chosen to be the children of God, Israel's prosperity came from their closeness to God, and their downfall happened when they turned away from God who chose them. So for Christians, God's chosen people, the only thing that we boast about is that God chose us. Our strength comes from our continual reliance on God. In our downfall, our suffering, it comes from when we stray from Him. So from reading chapter 1, that you should also know a second important point, that among these tribes, there are many hostile nations against Israel. You will read about the ancestors of Israel, Babylon, and Cushites, Moabites, Ammonites, Arameans, and the descendant of Esau, as well as those of Ishmael. That you will notice that many of these are adversaries of Israel. In the entire chapter, you need to read and understand the very important point that all enemies are under God's authorities. In our lives, that we need to recognize, if we were close to God and aligned with Him, our enemies would be at peace with us. However, if we distance ourselves from God or oppose Him, even those who are not originally our enemies, because they are all descendants from Adam, Shem, and Abraham, can become enemies. So this happens because we have left God and who chose us. Today, we might face pressures from our workplace, our family, and even feel that someone is intentionally hostile towards us. There might be pain caused by someone in our family or conflict involving our nations or region. These issues can seem overwhelming, but it is important to remember that even though enemies may appear to be attacking us, that they are all under God's authority. As you finish reading the first chapters, that you should see that many groups have become adversaries to Israel. Some oppose, some obstruct, and some have always sought to attack Israel. That these adversaries emerged because Israel did not follow God's ways properly. Similarly, if Christians today follow God's word and proceed according to His grace, even if faced with enemies, God's hand will protect us from attacks because all enemies are under His authority. So as you read, that you need to understand that if there is no enemy in our lives, it is greater than our God. Even Satan, those who persecute us, the trials that we face, the pressures that we encounter are solvable in God's hands. The key is whether or not we can recognize that we surrender our sovereignty to God. If you are facing pressure today, whether from relationships, financial struggles, or general life difficulties, feel overwhelmed and exhausted, bring your troubles, challenges, and sigh before God. All enemies are under His authority. Find rest in His presence and take time to wait up on Him, that you will discover those who wait up on the Lord will renew their strength, and God will make them soar like wings, like eagles. They will soar on wings like eagles, that He will enable us to run and not grow weary, and to walk and not to be faint, and He can help us overcome all difficulties and pressures. So don't be afraid of these challenges. As you move into the second chapter, that you will find the genealogy of Judah. Chapter 2, 3, and 4 focus almost entirely on the genealogy of Judah. Now you might wonder why, among the 12 tribes, that the tribe of Judah is given such prominence. It is because God has a purpose. He wants us to see the reasons for the past downfall in the nations was their distance from Him. Now that they are willing to return from Babylon and rebuild Jerusalem, it signifies that their willingness to be close to God again. So the second chapter highlights an important truth, that God's promise will surely come to pass. By listing the tribes of Judah, the Bible shows that the God's promises will indeed be fulfilled. Even though the nations was destroyed, they were exiled, and now they're returning with a small group. And the land of Canaanites has disappeared. It is now under the rule of Persian Empire, later the Greek Empire, and then the Roman Empire. The nation of Israel is no more, but through the genealogy of the tribes of Judah, the promise God continued to be counted and fulfilled. That we need to recognize a third important spiritual principle, that God's promises do not change based on the victories or failures of our circumstances. God's promises will surely come to pass. Even though the nation was completely destroyed and were now exiled, returned to rebuild Jerusalem. That was once called the Kingdom of Israel, now it's just a small province. That God's promise remains steadfast. A small group of returning exiles, mostly fishermen, are rebuilding, and God has promised that the Messiah will come. A king will arise from the tribe of Judah, and he will bring salvation and deliverance. Despite the nation's fall, the promise of God remains that his people will ultimately reign with him as kings in this generation. In the second chapter, that you might wonder why there is such a detailed account of the tribe of Judah, while the other tribes are mentioned briefly. Some tribes are covered only in few verses, but the tribe of Judah is recorded extensively over 3 chapters. This disparity may seem unfair, as every tribe has significant historical events. The reason for a detailed focus on Judah is to remind the returning Israelites that God's promise will indeed be fulfilled. So, dear family, if you have felt disappointed in your prayer, that you've been praying for years for your family's happiness, for healings of your loved ones, for peace and financial stabilities in your home, or for flourishing of your church, yet these prayers seem unanswered, remember, God's promises are not bound by immediate circumstances. They will be fulfilled, even if it seems like it will only happen in the future. God's promise will be fulfilled in his name. For those who return to rebuild Jerusalem, which was in ruins, their names are recorded and remembered, even though there were many obstacles and enemies attacking. With God's help, they will overcome. That his promise will come to pass because their names were written down, and they believe that his promise have not given up, that they have returned to Babylon, though not everyone did. Those who returned are remembered, and in the process of reading, that will realize that their names too are recorded because they were willing to pay the price to return and believing of God's promise be fulfilled. For Christians, especially in the last days, our faith face many challenges, and the church will encounter persecution, and you must note that the God's promise will come to pass. And the church experience revival, then we will reign with the Lord. Satan and the gates of hell will not prevail against the church. That we must continue to believe in God's promises, and knowing that he hears our prayers and answers them. Even if our faith is as small as a mustard seed, our prayer can move mountains. That we can proclaim the forgiveness of sins, healing for the sick, and the prosperity of the poor. That we can share the salvation accomplished by Messiah, Jesus Christ, the promise of his return. And this is assurance of God's promise. So don't give up your faith. Don't let the weaknesses and the problems within the church cause you to lose heart or stop believing. If you see a lot of darkness and issues in church, don't let it lead you to despair or think that your efforts are in vain. Don't consider leaving and changing churches because the confusion and lack of devotion that you see around you. Now, your perseverance matters because you are like those who returned for Babylon to rebuild Jerusalem. You're like Zerubbabel, Nehemiah, and Ezra, standing firm for God's ways. And your name will be remembered by God, and through your persistence, faithful prayer and God's promises and blessings will be fulfilled. So this is why the genealogy of the tribe of Judah in the second chapter is so detailed. It shows that God's promises are fulfilled through faithful individuals, even when facing challenges. So fourthly, if you read through the second chapter, that you might notice that it records many failures and issues and things that seems to be like family secrets or scandals. It includes accounts of sin, greed, and corruption. The genealogy doesn't shy away from documenting these flaws and failures. The key point is that the genealogy faithfully records how one person's sin and decisions can have a significant impact on their descendants. And you might think that in your personal weaknesses, that telling a lie and having conflicts, dealings of being judgmental are only minor and private matters. However, in God's kingdoms, in his spiritual realms, that our actions affect our children and future generations. So as you carefully read the genealogy of the second chapter, you will notice that each name tells a story. Some children are blessed because they have faithful ancestors, have heritage of faith, loyalty to the Lord, and God's favor. Others are affected by their parents' evil actions, betrayal of God, or sins which have repercussions on their descendants. Our sin not only impact our lives, but also impact our children's, and the legacy that we pass on in God's eyes. When you read through chapter 2, that you might wonder, why It records so many negative traits, such as sin, pride, and deceit. God includes these details to remind those returning from Babylon to Jerusalem that their faithfulness to God will be remembered. While staying in Babylon might have been easier, returning to Jerusalem was a challenging decision, but it was a choice that it will lead to blessings for the descendants. So those who stay in Babylon will no longer be recorded because they did not return to God. Your faithfulness today, your service in church, your dedications to teaching your children to fear and love God, and your generosities in serving and giving will be remembered by God. He will extend His grace blessings to your descendants. Don't underestimate the significance of a genealogy. It shows that we are not special because of ourselves, but because we are chosen by God. Our value comes from being God's chosen people. This sets us apart from other tribes and nations. This is the secret to our spiritual victories and sanctifications. Stay closely connected to God. Second, all enemies are under God's authority. Do not fear your enemies. Stay connected and rely on God, that we are reconciled with God and blessed by Him. Our enemies will fear us, and those who attack us will flee. Enemies will also be reconciled when we are in harmony with God. Thirdly, God's promise will certainly come to pass. And don't give up and believe in His promises. Continue to pray, keep pursuing Him. And when you dedicate yourself to God's promise, you will see the fulfillment of the prayers. You will witness God's elections and blessings, and the power of Messiah will be evident in your life and home. And through the unwavering faith in God's promises, we will receive that great reward. And when He returns and His promises are fulfilled. Finally, as parents, that we must be very careful. Our betrayal, pride, criticism, immorality, and weaknesses in the flesh will affect the inheritance of our children before God. Children will observe our behavior and may think it's acceptable to be disrespectful to God, indifferent to church, or contentious with others. However, if they see us fearing God and loving God and living joyfully and harmoniously and showing patience, hope, and generosity, they will inherit these blessings and attributes. Dear family, from the first to the second chapter of Chronicles, that we have seen these four crucial spiritual principles. In the chapters to come, we will explore the secrets to overcoming and the blessing of inheritance found in each genealogy. Amen. Dear Bible Race viewers and families in Christ, thank you for watching our videos. We hope our sharing can enrich your life. If you find the content helpful, we hope you will support our ministry so we may continue to produce high-quality videos to serve the kingdom of God and hope to bless more people's lives. You can donate in the following ways. Online giving by PayPal. If you are residing in Taiwan, you may also donate by bank transfer. Thanks again for your viewing and support. Every contribution is our greatest encouragement. We sincerely appreciate your support. May God bless you abundantly. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share.
Dear families, we hope that you enjoy the Bible race as much as we do. If you are willing to volunteer to translate the original Chinese teaching into English or assist with video editing, please email service@360sunrise.com. Thank you.